Hello everyone. So friends, in one of our previous lecture when we discussed about stubbing, if we go to the book service test class in our stubbing folder, here if you see in our book service class there was one method add book, which instead of taking the book took the book request, and in our add book method what we did was we simply checked that if the price of the book is less than equal to 500, simply return, and if it is not less than or equal to 500, we created a book. We set few properties like title, price and publish date from the book request into this book, and we did the saving of the book. So friends, here I'll simply copy this book service method, and in our behavior verification book service class I'll simply paste it, and here I will simply copy this book request class and paste it in our behavior verification package. Also friends, in our stubbing section we saw that if we want to stub out a void method, what we can do is we can simply call do nothing when book repository.save is getting called or not. So this was the way which we discussed in our previous lecture. Now friends, here you can see that there is one problem here. The price of book is 500, and here we are calling this add book method with the book request. So when this method will be called, we will be simply returning from this method. So friends, if I run the test case, you see the test case got executed successfully. But here we simply called the book service add book method and we passed the book request. But here no way we came to know that whether we returned from here or whether this method got executed completely. So friends, here you can see that stubbing will not always help us in testing our method properly. We need to perform behavior verification. So friends, let's say if I copy this method, and in our behavior verification I simply paste this method, I remove this line. So friends, after calling this add book method, how we can verify that whether the save was actually being called or not, or we simply return from here. So friends, we know that the price of book is 500, and when we call add book method, we should have been returned from here. But how we can verify that we actually returned from here and not after executing the save book method? So here Mockito provides the ability to the mock object that as soon as we create the mock object, it remembers all the interactions made on the mock object. So friends, here we saw that we used verify book repository.save to simply verify that the book repository save was called or not. But here we know that book repository save was not called. So in our verify method, we can use mockito.times method, which is nothing but our verification mode, and we can verify that how many times the invocation was done to this save method. So here based on our use case, we know that this save method shouldn't have been called. So how we can verify that? We can simply provide 0 here, and we are asking Mockito that please verify that book repository save method with this book was not called. So we are providing the value 0 here. If I run the test case, You can see test case got executed successfully. And also friends, let's say if I copy this test, I paste it below. Let's say I give the name as 1. And let's say I give the price of the book to be 600. So friends, now here you can see that as the price of the book we passed to our book request is 600. We won't be returning from this method from here. This part of code will be executed. That this book will be created. All the properties will be copied from the book request into this book, and the book will be saved using the book repository. So here the book will be created with the value as 600, and after calling the book request add book method, here we will verify that book repository save with this book will be called once. So we provide the value 1 here. If I run the test case now, you can see the test case got executed successfully, and we actually came to know that when the price of book is 600 and when we called add book method, this save was executed only once, and we not returned from this method from this point, and this piece of code was actually executed. So friends, here you can see that how behavior verification help us in unit testing of our code. And also friend, we saw that verify method uses the equals method for verifying the arguments. As we provided book request here in the add book, here we are creating a new book, and in our test we are creating a new book here. So friends, here you can see in our book class, in our previous lecture we provided the equals method, and it performed the equality on the price, title and the published date. So therefore, whatever the book we created in our test and we provided it here in the verify, so when the add book method will be called and the point of execution will reach here, the Mockito will capture that this save was called with the, let's say, any book. And when we will verify it here, Mockito will see that we are asking that whether this book repository save was called with this book which we are providing here once. So friends, Mockito will compare this book which we have provided here and this book which actually got created here with the equals method to simply verify the contents of these both the books. So friends, here we will not only simply verify the save was called or not, Mockito also help us in knowing that save was called with a book with this contents or not. So friend, as we passed book request to our add book method with the title as Mockito in action, price as 600 and the published date as local date.now, here we are actually verifying that when book repository save was called, the book which actually got passed here matches to our expectation that it should contains the title as Mockito in action, price as 600 and published date as local date.now. So friend, let's say if I change something here, give 500. So friend, if I run the test case now, so here you can see Mockito gave an exception saying that arguments are different, and here it told that actual invocations have different arguments. So when Mockito called equals method of our book, it found that both the book price was different So here to our book request we provided price as 600 and we are verifying here with this book having price as 500. So it gave an exception saying that arguments are different. So friend, let's say if I provided debug point here and let's say if I run the test case in debug mode, so friends, here you can see that this book which got created here with an ID as book at the rate 2505 here. If I open this, you can see the title is Mockito in action and price is 600 and the published date is today's date. So this book repository, which is our mocked object, save will be called on the mock object with this book having price as 600. So friends, here if we go to our test now and provide a debug point here, and if I proceed the debug point ahead, here you can see that this book has price of 500. So friends, here Mockito recorded that save was actually called with a book of price 600, but here we are verifying it with a price 500. So Mockito gave an exception saying that arguments are different. So it basically used the equals method in verifying those stuff. So friend, if I change the value here as 600 and if I run the test case now, you see the test case got executed successfully. So here verify method also help us in verification that how many times a method was called on a particular mock object. So friend, if you want to verify that whether any particular method was called only once, so we can skip this times, and even if we do this, it does the job of this. So we simply remove this and we run our test. So test case got executed successfully. So by default, it verifies that save was called once. And let's say if I call the addBook method twice, so here I need to provide the times method to verify that now save will be called 2 times. So if I run the test case now, so here you can see test case got executed successfully. So in this lecture we saw that how we can use Mockito.times method to verify that whether a particular method was called that many times or not. I hope you like this video. Thanks, have a nice day.